All right, so we're going over web development. This is what you would do in a job. This is kind of how you would start building websites. So, this, I do want you guys to get down the cycle and understand that it's a cycle, not just a list. This isn't something that you do once and you're done. This is constant on a website. You're constantly going through this. We're constantly going through this even with our own school website. If you guys remember, we got a new school website earlier this year. Basically, we will never stop going through this cycle. And I'll come back to this in case you need it. But conceptualization is the first kind of step. Conceptualization is basically you're coming up with your ideas. You're trying to figure out who's your target audience. Okay, remember, who is it specifically that this website is for? You need to determine the goals of the website. So maybe a short-term goal is even making a website if you never had one. So just maybe getting even the homepage up there might be a short-term goal. Your long-term goal might be getting all your products and being able to sell stuff on there. That might be a long-term goal. All right. Yes, you guys are taking notes. So this is kind of where you're coming up with, you're identifying opportunities, kind of what would be the benefits of making a website or adding a feature to a website? What would be the benefits of that? That's where conceptualization comes in. To create a concept is basically what conceptualization means. The next thing you're going to do is analyze, which is figuring out what do you need. Analyzing basically the website or the idea is what do you need to get the website where you want it to be. Do you need certain content written? What topics are going to be on the website? Are you going to have just the homepage, or are you going to have like how-to videos? Are you going to have a contact page and about page? Are you going to have discussion forums? Or are you going to have different pages with multiple information? Maybe one page is a how-to, maybe one page is an apply here. Functionality requirements is basically what's the site going to do? You're not determining how you will do it. How you will do it is coding, okay? You're not going to determine how you're going to code your website at this point. You're going to determine what do you actually need it to do. Right now, you're basically in the web designer job role. And a web designer is different than a web developer. Developer is the one who codes the backend. The designer says, this is what I want the website to look like. Sometimes they are the same person, but the larger the company you go to, the more they're going to become different people. All right. Environmental requirements is basically, does it need to run on a certain computer? Do you have a server you can run it off of? Or do you need to go out and find a company to host it? All right. Most people don't have a server closet in their house. That's not something that's very common amongst the vast majority of people. If you are a freelancer web programmer, you might have your own server. You never know. But oftentimes you don't. So you may have to go out and find a hosting platform to host your website. And you have to see, does it meet certain requirements? Will it run PHP and JavaScript? How much storage do you have and how much do you need? Does it have database functionalities? Stuff like that. Content requirements. What is there content that needs to be written? Is it already somewhere else, like in a brochure or on a flyer that you can kind of just copy over and modify? So you have to figure that out. Sometimes a company goes through a redesign, and of course they have to go through this process if they're redesigning. Like we just redesigned the school website earlier this year. So you kind of have to compare, okay, what's the old or current approach? How does it work? Does it actually work? Is it easy to use? If not, what needs to be changed with the new approach? Does it need an updated look? Or does it need to be completely redesigned, reorganized, everything? And oftentimes you'll look at competitor sites too, see what they do right and what do they do that you like. And this is usually in the point in the process is if you're doing this for another company, you give them an estimate of how much it's going to cost versus is there going to be a real benefit to this. Then you go on to the design. Okay, again, you're not coding the site yet. There is no code yet. So far, there is no code involved. You are going to determine how's the site going to be organized. So remember that graphic organizer we made earlier this year? You're going to determine, what pages and how do you click through them to get to the other pages. Prototype the design. You're just going to kind of lay one out, whether it's in Microsoft Word, Photoshop, whatever. You're going to kind of lay out what the website would look like. Again, no code yet. Everything up until this point, still no code. Determine each page's layout. Okay? So you would actually have to go through and make a prototype or a design for every single page on your website. We're going to be starting a new website. And you're going to need 6 to 10 pages. So we're going to go through each step of this process for your whole website. And then production. Now in production, that's when you're actually coding your website. Web authoring tool, that's basically, are you using Notepad++? Are you using Dreamweaver? Are you using any other programming tool? Even basic Notepad. Whichever one you feel comfortable in. You're going to organize your site files. Basically, okay, put all the images in the image folder, make all the HTML files and get them in the folder. You're going to start coding. This is pretty much your coding phase when you do all your code and test each little piece. And you're going to add your content. Do you need to write words to go on page? Do you need to get images, or can those be supplied to you? It depends. All right, and then testing. Remember, you're going to validate every single page, every single piece of CSS you need to validate, okay, in your testing phase. You'll open up your website on different web browsers because, like, Chrome does most things, but like rounded corners, you have to code a separate piece of code for Firefox to work. And then Edge and Internet Explorer, there are things that just will never work in there, okay? Versus Opera, versus other web browsers, okay? And different versions too, because not everyone has the newest update of Chrome on their computer. Sometimes it's they don't update on their personal computer, or it's the fact that their company won't update it for so many updates. Okay? Try it with different screen resolutions. Basically, remember when we made the viewing box smaller so that way we could see what it's going to look like on a phone versus a tablet versus a desktop? Like my monitor that I use most of the time that I share with you guys is a lot bigger and a lot wider than my laptop, than your laptops, okay? They're all different sizes. They're all different widths. So I would have to test it on multiple different things. And then I would also test it on a phone. I would test it on a tablet. Different bandwidth. So like the school, when no one's here, you can upload a huge file to eCampus like that. Like it takes no time at all. But when every single person is testing in the building, like FSA testing, it's going to take forever for anything to ever upload. Okay? Even a Word document, it will take it forever. So that's why you want to test using different bandwidth. So how much of the network can you use? Is if it takes too long to download for the site to load, you may have to reduce your image size. Okay, so it's less data that it has to download. Test from another location. Okay, go Panera, go to your friend's house, make sure it still all works. Okay, especially when you upload it to a server, send the domain address, so the link to it, send it to your friends, send it to your family, and say, can you guys open this up and tell me what you see? So you guys basically gotta just test it constantly, okay? So again, different types of testing, your validators, okay? And sometimes you want to go up to a random person and say, can you find this information? Okay? Sometimes you might do it when you're doing your sketches, your prototypes. You can say, okay, like have them fake click and hand them the next page and see if they can find the information. So let's go to the school website real quick. Or I'm going to pull it up and you guys tell me where to click. So if I go to the school website and I'm a new student coming in and I want to figure out where's the curriculum guide, where would I click to find our curriculum guide? Possibly student services, so let's go there. So now I scroll down, I don't see it here, I still don't see his curriculum guide. Up, now I found it, my curriculum guide. Okay, if I wanted to look for something on internships, where would we look? Student services again for internships. So let's see, I don't see anything, I don't see. Do you guys see anything for internship? No. Mikey, where might I try look for internship information? So let's try students this time. Okay. I don't see it there. I don't see any. Let's see internships. I still don't see it. Someone else. Where else can I look? Besides the search bar. Let's try doing it without the search bar because not every website has one. Devin. Let's try academics because now we're running out of options. Oh, look, work-based learning, internship opportunities, okay? And work-based learning is kind of wording that we use among teachers and among like principals and stuff. That's wording we use. That's not necessarily wording you guys are going to understand. Or that's not something, maybe if you're a senior, you might think to look for work-based learning. But if you're a freshman coming in and you want to know what internships are available, when you get to be a junior and stuff, what kind of internships there are, you may not be able to easily find this information, okay? So this may be something you have to consider on your website. Not just you, because everyone kind of like has their own logic of how they find things. Have someone else try to find it and see if they're able to. So you may have to change the wording on something to get them to be able to find it. You may have to change where it's located to be able to easily find this. And then one of the last steps is approval and launch, okay? Always from your client, get something signed or in writing that says publish now. Okay, you are good to publish. Because you don't want them coming back at you and then all of a sudden saying, oh, we didn't tell you to publish that, and you just made us look awful or whatever. So you always get something signed off from the client or in writing an email from them, never over a phone call, never just them offhandedly telling you in person. Get it in writing that says you are good to go. Okay, it will save yourself in case they try to come back at you for them saying, why would you publish it like that? This is where, before you do that, obviously you would have someone proofread it. This is that's part of the testing phase, is proofreading. You would upload your files to a server. So that's that web hosting. And create backup copies, because sometimes, you guys know, computers or servers or the shares drive just randomly delete things. Things just magically go missing on the internet sometimes. So always keep like at least 2 backups of something. I actually have a hard drive, an external hard drive I carry around with me, that has all my backups of work that I've created. Plus, I have another backup at home. So say we get a really bad hurricane and your server that you chose to put your stuff on is in Miami and it gets flooded and kind of dies. Okay? Doesn't always happen, but you literally never know where these things are located. You can have it on your external hard drive. And then notice how I have one at work, one at home, because in case here I have Mr. Merlino upstairs and who knows what kind of parties he's throwing. And if he decides to turn on like a faucet and leave it running and it floods my room, okay, and my hard drive gets flooded, I know at very least I have another backup at home. Okay? Plus, I probably have a backup on OneDrive or Google Drive as well. So you always want to have multiple backups in multiple locations. Because again, you guys know how things magically disappear off your computers all the time. Or use a USB drive. I know they have USB drives that are up to a terabyte now for like $40. Super cheap. Okay? I do hard drives because like this one I think is 5 terabytes. And then my one at home is 8 terabytes. And trust me, this one's almost full. Okay? So you always want to have multiple backups of everything. And then once you upload it, test it again. Make sure everything uploaded correctly. You guys know when you submit stuff to eCampus, like you submit an essay, and as soon as you submit it, you realize there's like 4 typos? Same thing on a website. As soon as you upload, you will notice something's wrong. Okay? That's why you want to test it again after you upload. Like when you guys upload assignments for me, re-download them and make sure that you actually uploaded everything. So that way you see what I'm getting downloaded. And then maintenance. Maintenance is that never-ending to-do list. Okay? Are there things you want to improve on the site? Do you want to suddenly add JavaScript to it and get all these interactive features? Are there fixes? Like we were looking at the Chrome site yesterday and Chrome's con was misspelled as Chrome's com. Okay? So I emailed Mr. Brown and said, hey, there's a typo. Can you please update it? Do you need to add new areas to the site? So suddenly if, say, Chrome suddenly turned into a regular school where we had zone students come in for regular classes, plus we were the magnet school, okay, we would have to add like 4 new pages to the website before that even opened, okay? Not saying that's ever going to happen. I doubt that will. But if we suddenly decide, okay, we not only offer web programming, but we want to suddenly offer AI, artificial intelligence classes, okay, then we're going to need to add another section of our website that covers that. So it's going to be constant. Like a website is never done. It can be like finished, but you're constantly going to have people come back. Oh, can you add this? Can you change this? Can you update this? So just keep that in mind. If you go into web programming or web development, you can be done with the website, but month, 2 months, 3 years later, you don't know. They could be coming and asking for extra things. So here's what I want you guys to do. So our last one is evaluation. Go back to your original conceptualization where you had your ideas and your goals and everything, and determine, did you meet them? Okay? And if not, you're going to have to start the cycle over again and figure out how to meet them again. And you're going to have to develop. Do you need to meet the goals better? Did you not get quite so close to what you were supposed to do? Or did you hit it right on the mark? So that's the very last one, is evaluation.